Hello friends, welcome to C# Intermediate to Advanced tutorial. Now you are watching the final part of the subseries C# containers GroupBox. In this video, we will implement our GroupBox example. Alright, now let us go to the demo. The sample project code snippet is available in the video description. So here is our GroupBox example. So after opening the Visual Studio, you have to create a new project. Then under Windows, choose Windows application. Here is our form, and if you see in this form, just set container group box. So that's the title we gave to the form. Next, we have two group boxes. So this is a group box 1, and in the group box 1 we gave name as GRP country. Then we set text as country so that the group box will have a title country. Same way, we have a action group box. The text is action and the control name is GRP action. So remaining stuff you can design as you like. So you can set whatever font you want. You can set a different background color and foreground color. Alright, then we have enable action checkbox. So if you see in the container control, you will have a group box. Then checkbox will be available under common controls. So that's the checkbox, and we have that checkbox here. So inside the country group box, we have 4 radio button. If you see, name is RD India, RD China, RD Japan, and RD Malaysia. Similarly, for all these radio button, we set text as Malaysia, text Japan, text China, and text India. Similarly, for this also we set background 1, background 2 as the text. Then we have RD back 2 as the name for this radio button, and this one we will have RD back 1 as a radio button. So then we have 2 command buttons here, BTN font Verdana. Then here we have BTN hide show country. So that means this will toggle and it will show country once clicked, and if you click again, it will flip between show and hide when you click this button. So this button will act as a toggle button. Alright, so when you place the control, first you create a group box. After that you place the control. Say for example, once a group box is created, you can drag and drop the controls. Say the radio button. Once the group box is created, drag the radio button, then drop inside any of the group box. So the control that is placed inside the group box will become a child of that group box. So now you can see there are 4 radio button here and 2 radio button here. Now if I run this application, I can, so these 4 radio will act in one group and these radios will act in another group. So for now we haven't added any code. Once we enable this, then there will be one group box that we can select here, and the one radio button which we can select inside this country group box, and one radio button which we can select inside this action. So this way we have two set of radio button group. So this is one radio button group and this one is another radio button group. That means you can select background 1 or background 2. Similarly, you can select any one of these four countries here. So what we mean to say here is, here if I can select China, then background 2. That means two radio button will be in selected state since they are under different groups. Group in the sense here they belongs to a different container control. Here in this case they belongs to different group box. So first we will implement the event for this enable action. Once we enable this, so for example, when we place a check mark, we want to enable all these controls, and if I remove the check mark, we want to disable it. So if you see at this moment by default it's in disabled state because we say it enabled as false for this group box. Similarly for this group box we say it enabled as, by default it is true. So here we overridden the default and we say it enabled as false. Alright, to implement the event, click on this enable action, then click on events, then implement checked changed. So you can double click here in this empty area. So if you see here chk action, which is nothing but our checkbox name, chk action. So we are checking chk action dot check state. When it is in checked state, then grp action we are enabling. We are setting it to true. If it is not in checked state, that means the checkbox chk action. When it is unchecked, we are disabling the grp action group box. And if you see, we are just enabling and disabling this grp action. So this will enable and disable all its child control. We will see that now. And if you see, all these controls here are in disabled state. Once I place a check mark, you can see all the controls are enabled. Now you can see these two radio button belongs to action group. That means it's one group. We can call it as a action group radio button, and this set is a country group radio button. This way we can have two radio button group. So when I select, I can select only one here inside this group. Similarly, I can select only one radio button inside this action group. Now when I disable this enable action, in our code, if you see, we are just disabling the group box only, not the individual control. But since these are all the child control, all will inherit the parent. That means containers property. So that means all four controls get disabled now. Next we will go to our design view. We will select this radio button. Then so this is property and this one is events, and we will go for checked changes. So that's the default event. We will double click this. Similarly, we will go to our form design and we will implement the checked change event for background 2 also. So for background 1, if you see RAD back 1, when it is checked, that means this radio button. rad back1. When rad back1 dot checked equal to true, that means when this radio button is in checked state, we are changing the background color of country group box. That means this group box grp country dot back color equal to color dot allies blue. There are a lot of other colors also available. These are all the color constant. You can pick any one. I just picked the first one. Similarly, for second radio button in the action group, we are checking whether the second radio button, that means the background 2 radio button, is in checked state. So if that is the case, we are setting a different color for our action, I mean the country group box. And once again, if you see, we are setting the color for this group box only. So all this control will have its own background color. And if you want to override, say for example, background color, I can set different background color for India. So background color, if you see how it is changing, so this is the group box background color, country group box background color, but individual control can have its own background color. So now when we set a different background color to the group box, it will apply the background color for the group box as well as all the child control here. So just now I shown you how a different background color will work for India. Now you can imagine what happens when we give a different background color, that means allies blue. If we set that to group box, then all these control will have that background color. Let's run this and see that. So we are using two background color. One is allies blue and another one is the azure color. So to use this, first we have to enable. So we are clicking the enable. Then if you see, all the control has its own background. So since India we set or we overridden the background color, it doesn't work. So now we haven't overridden this. Let me try this once again. And now you can see this is the first background color and this one is second, and it's alternating between these two. All right, now we will go with the next actions. So hide or show country. Here we will go with the click event. So this is the default one, so you can even double click this button, it will automatically produce that click event. So here is the code. And if you see here, when the text is hide country, so that means when user clicked the button, first we read the text, and if it is hide country, that means user is clicking the button, they saw the text hide country in the button and they clicked it. That means we have to hide the country group box. So grp country visible, we are setting it as false. So that means we are hiding the entire country. So when we hide this group box, all this child control also get hidden. Also, if you see here, we are flipping the button caption. So first user sees hide country, they click it, the control in the country group box will get hidden. Then the label of this button, the specific button, this hide country button, will get changed to show country. So now when user clicks, they will be seeing the show country button. I mean the label, they will see show country. So this condition will fail and we will come here. So this time we are showing that group box. Then we are flipping the caption hide country. Let's say examine this. Here our goal is we are hiding the country and we will see that all these radio button also get hidden. So this will be useful since it's a container control. If you see, we are not setting the visible property false to all these child control, so that's not required. If we just disable this container, all its child get hidden. I mean, if we disable all its child get disabled, and if we hide it, here we are using the visible property. So if we hide it, all the child will get hidden. Now let's run this once. So the label here is a hide country. That means user knows when they click this hide country, this will get hidden. And if you see this, we just hide this group box only. Group box that visible equal to false, and all the child controls also hidden for us. So now we say it show country. The button label got changed. Now when user clicks, they know that the country will get shown. Hide country and show country. So all right. Now we will go to the last implementation, set font. I'm just double clicking this button. Here we are creating a font dialog, font DLG, font equal to new font dialog. So after that, here we have font, then font.show dialog. This will show the font dialog. Then dialog result.ok. So what we are checking is we are making sure user selected some font and then they clicked OK to the font dialog. So if that is the case, then we read what font is selected by the user. So this will actually give font instance, and you can see here in the tooltip text. So that's what expected by the font property of the group box. So once we set a font, that font is set for all these child controls. Now let's experiment this. So this is what called font dialog. Here if you see, first we are creating the font dialog. Font dialog is from this tooltip. You can see system.windows.forms.font dialog. Then the font dialog is shown here, and if you see, so this fnt.show dialog will show this dialog, and it will be a blocking call. The control will stay here waiting for the user input, and let's say user selected some comic sans serif. I'm choosing regular and increasing the font size 11. So if I click OK, so we are checking the constant font.show dialog. Once you click OK or cancel, the function will return. That means it's a blocking call, it's showing the dialog. But if I click OK or cancel, the font dialog will get dismissed and we will return. So once we return, this show dialog function will return a constant that denotes whether user clicked or OK. So we are using the dialog result constant OK to check whether user actually clicked the OK button. So if they clicked the OK button, then we will apply the font for our country group box, thereby applying the font for all the child controls. That means all 4 radio button will inherit that same font property. So if you see, this time I selected Comic Sans MS as the font. Now I am clicking OK, and you can see the font got changed. Font is not only changed for this group box country, but for all the child control. And you can see it said different font now. That's all here. So what you have to learn here is, you are seeing 2 container control. One is country, that's a group box, that's a container control. Actions, that's one more group box, and it's a different container control. The top level container is this Windows form. The Windows form contains, actually in Windows Forms perspective, there are 3 controls. One is enable action, that's a checkbox. Then we have 2 group box. So the form will see these group box as controls. So it has 3 controls: country group box control, and action group box control, then enable action control. Then for India, China, Japan, Malaysia, these are all the child controls, and these controls sees country as a component, I mean as a container. So now for this set of controls, there are 2 container. That means for this 4 radio button there is 1 container, and for actions there are 1 container, I mean for all these 4 controls. So totally we have 3 container in this example. Top level container that contains 2 container and 1 control, and those 2 containers will have some other child control. And once we set a property, we saw how these properties are inherited to its child controls. So this enable action is one example. Here we are enabling and disabling the group box only, but if you see, all the child get enabled or disabled. Similarly, when we set a background, we are setting it only for the country, but all the control inherits that property. That means the parent's property. So we can always override that inherited property by assigning the property to an individual control. So that's all here in this GroupBox example. So just now you watched the demo and implementation of the GroupBox. That's all here in this video. I hope it gave you an idea of how container control works and how we use the GroupBox to have 2 radio box group. And not only that, we also studied how GroupBox as container acting, and how the child controls of the GroupBox inherits the property set to the GroupBox. Thank you for watching. Bye.